Ecosystem recovery is the process by which a natural environment restores its structure and function after a major disturbance. It is not an overnight fix, but a dynamic progression driven by nature's inherent resilience and adaptation. Recovery isn't just about plants growing back. It is shaped by a complex web of resources, human activity, biotic interactions, and the local climate environment. It is a dynamic progression, visible here in the contrast between scorched remnants of the past and the vibrant green growth of present regeneration. This is the definition of nature's resilience. Resilience is the ecosystem's capacity to absorb shock and reorganize while maintaining its core function and identity. Think of resilience as a spring. Even when hit by a major event like a fire or hurricane, a resilient ecosystem absorbs the impact. It reorganizes itself, ensuring key species survive to rebuild the habitat. Here we see life emerging from charred remains. A resilient system may look different after a disturbance, but it retains its functional identity and ecological services. Biological legacies act as the lifeboats of an ecosystem. They are the essential remnants that survive a disturbance, providing the habitat and genetic blueprints necessary for life to emerge again. Even after a devastating fire, pockets of life persist. These survivors allow for rapid recolonization. Underground burrows protect species from surface heat, while decaying organic matter restores essential nutrients to the charred soil. By protecting these biological legacies, we ensure that the forest or grassland has the necessary genetic diversity to thrive once more. Ecosystem recovery begins underground. Soil microbes and fungi are the foundation of all environmental health. Recent research proves that reintroducing native soil microbiomes can significantly accelerate plant growth after a disaster. Mycorrhizal fungi extend root systems, allowing plants to access deeper nutrients and moisture, which is vital in stressed post-disaster soils. Healthy soil structure ensures roots can penetrate deep and water can infiltrate properly, preventing surface erosion. A tipping point occurs when an ecosystem loses its capacity to recover, shifting into a degraded state. The ball and cup model illustrates this. A shallow depression for a grassland has low resilience, making it easy to shift into a woodland state once a threshold is crossed. Recognizing these thresholds is crucial. Intervention is most effective when detected before the ecosystem passes the point of no return. We measure ecological recovery using a modern metric called recovery velocity. This is calculated through a combination of high-resolution satellite imagery and advanced artificial intelligence. This metric allows us to track how quickly a damaged ecosystem regains its ability to cycle nutrients and sequester carbon, comparing the current state to its pre-disaster baseline. By analyzing fluctuations in satellite data, AI models determine the speed of the recovery process. This data helps scientists identify areas where ecosystems might be struggling to bounce back. Finally, global mapping provides the spatial context for these recovery patterns. This allows for landscape-scale planning, ensuring that we support ecosystems that are at critical tipping points. Ecological recovery follows a strict timeline. The 50-year rule emphasizes that the most effective window for human intervention occurs within the first 24 to 48 months following a natural disaster. If we wait too long, invasive species often take root. As illustrated by the invasion curve, early detection allows for simple eradication. However, as time passes, the effort and costs escalate exponentially, making native recovery nearly impossible. Acting within this critical period preserves the recovery trajectory, ensuring that native ecosystems can rebuild without the permanent interference of unwanted invasive species. In an ecosystem, various species perform essential jobs like nitrogen fixation. Image 1 shows how nitrogen cycles through soil and organisms. Functional redundancy occurs when multiple species fulfill the same ecological role. High redundancy acts as a safety net. Studies show ecosystems with high functional redundancy recover 30% faster after disasters. Healthy root systems and soil biology are key to this process. In the field of ecological recovery, the most effective tool is often simply leaving nature to its own devices. This is known as passive restoration. The Ecological Society of America suggests that for roughly 70% of disaster zones, passive restoration yields better results than human intervention. Human interference, while often well intentioned, can introduce heavy machinery or non native species that disrupt the sensitive recovery trajectory. Nature possesses an incredible built in resilience. Left alone, ecosystems often successfully navigate the complex path of succession, effectively self healing. Ultimately, restoration is about giving ecosystems the space and time to rebuild their own functional identity without our disruption. Climate change is shifting environmental baselines. Historically, we aimed to restore ecosystems to their original state. We are now pivoting to rehabilitation. We focus on designing ecosystems that are functional for current and future climate conditions, rather than historical templates. A novel ecosystem is one that maintains vital functions despite being altered. Take this wetland restoration. It creates a healthy, functional habitat tailored to modern sea levels and tidal patterns. The future of ecology isn't just about preserving what was, but building robust systems that can handle what is to come. Climate change is shifting the baselines for success. Often, local seeds struggle in the rapidly changing temperatures of their home ranges. Ecologists are now practicing assisted migration. By sourcing seeds from warmer, drier climates, we prepare future forests to handle heat and drought stressors effectively. This ensures that the forests we plant today become the resilient, functional ecosystems of tomorrow. Landscape-scale colonization depends on ecological connectivity. When infrastructure like roads cuts through natural areas, it creates fragmented zones where species struggle to move. Ecological corridors are vital. They provide pathways that allow flora and fauna to migrate from nearby intact habitats into disaster-stricken areas. This facilitates the return of biodiversity by bridging fragmented segments. By restoring connectivity, we create a landscape capable of self-healing. These pathways turn isolated zones back into functioning, connected ecosystems. The 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens stands as a global benchmark for ecosystem recovery. It demonstrated that life is far more tenacious than scientists had previously predicted. Recovery was jump-started by biological legacies, animals that survived in deep underground burrows, and seeds carried across mountain snowpack by the wind. These legacies allowed the ecosystem to stabilize and thrive, resulting in a recovery velocity that significantly exceeded scientific expectations. Recent 2025 data reveals significant changes in the Amazon basin. These maps show shifts in vegetation indices, highlighting areas under severe stress due to record-breaking droughts. Studies indicate that specific tree species with high wood density exhibit superior resilience. These trees can maintain water transport even during extreme moisture deficits. Climate change is creating a dual-threat environment for the Amazon. Understanding these metrics is vital for predicting which areas will reach a tipping point and which will adapt. As the Amazon faces a drier future, these drought-resistant trees act as a genetic blueprint. Their survival suggests that the forest is not merely dying, but evolving to handle new climatic realities. The 2019 to 2020 Australian bushfires were catastrophic, impacting millions of hectares. Monitoring the recovery became a global priority for ecological health. A crucial strategy was the establishment of protected fauna havens. These fenced, predator-free zones provide a vital lifeline for sensitive marsupial populations struggling to rebound. Citizen science monitoring proved instrumental. Local communities and researchers together tracked species recovery, allowing for faster intervention where populations were at risk. The combination of these efforts has led to positive outcomes. Sensitive species like the rat kangaroo are showing resilient signs of population growth within protected boundaries. While nature is robust, it has limits. If disasters like wildfires or floods occur too frequently, the ecosystem never gets the time to complete its succession cycle. Frequent disturbances prevent the establishment of mature species, leading to a permanent state of degradation. When the interval between events is too short, the system loses the ability to reset, potentially crossing a critical tipping point. Recovery is fundamentally a chemical process. Nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium must circulate between the soil, decomposing matter, and living organisms to support a food web. When nutrients move steadily and efficiently, we know the ecosystem is on the path to long-term resilience. Stable nutrient cycling allows complex life to return to the landscape. When a disaster strikes, it leaves behind an open void in the landscape. While this is a chance for native recovery, it also acts as a magnet for invasive species, which often exploit this empty space to take over. Because invasive species often grow and reproduce more rapidly, early management is crucial. Controlling them prevents them from choking out native seedlings that are struggling to stabilize the environment. Early identification and control create the window of opportunity that native plants need to reclaim their space and ensure a stable, healthy ecosystem. Future conservation is no longer just about preserving the past, but about future-proofing our ecosystems. We are engineering resilience into new plant communities to withstand the heat waves and droughts of 2030 and beyond. As climate projections shift, we must adapt our restoration tactics. We prioritize species capable of thriving in warmer, drier conditions. This involves selecting functional plant groups that manage water efficiently and offer structural integrity against extreme weather. It is a proactive approach to habitat design. By shifting our strategy from static preservation to dynamic engineering, we create ecosystems that are not just survivors, but leaders in a changing global climate. Ecological intervention is not a default approach. We act only when data indicates a negative recovery trajectory, threatening to bypass the natural resilience of the environment. We monitor for critical thresholds or tipping points. If an ecosystem crosses these, it may shift into a degraded state where recovery is no longer possible without assistance. Using data from soil health and carbon sequestration, we decide where on this spectrum intervention is required. Human action serves to bridge the gap between degraded land and healthy native ecosystems. Key indicators like soil microbes and carbon sequestration rates provide the evidence we need to offer nature a helping hand exactly when it matters most. Ecosystem recovery is a complex balance of natural resilience and smart, data-driven intervention. The process relies on three fundamental pillars: restoring soil foundations, nurturing natural resilience, and applying targeted, smart interventions. By prioritizing soil biology, maintaining biodiversity, and selecting species suited for a changing climate, we help nature bounce back stronger than before. A sustainable future is built on this partnership between ecological intelligence and active, thoughtful care.